Emily and the garbage. Emily is a grand green engine. She's very proud of her big wheels and her perfect polished paintwork. One morning, Emily was very excited. Sir Topham Hatt had told her to work with a new engine. I hope he's smart and useful, she wished. Emily met Thomas waiting at a signal. The new engine is waiting for you at the shunting yards, tooted Thomas. I can't wait to meet him, puffed Emily, and she chuffed away as fast as her boiler could bubble. Emily steamed into the shunting yards to look for the new engine. He was the dirtiest little engine she had ever seen. Hello, Emily, wished the new engine happily. My name's Whiff, because I'm a bit smelly. You're going to help me collect garbage. Emily was horrified. Oh, come on then, she sighed. Let's get started. Gordon was talking to James and Henry in a siding. When they saw Emily with Whiff, they laughed. Hello, whistled Whiff. Who's your smelly new friend with the funny whistle, Emily, snorted James. We smelt you coming for miles, wished Gordon grandly. My name's Whiff, whistled Whiff. It suits you, laughed Henry. Phew. Emily was very embarrassed. She hurried away. Whiff puffed after her. Up the line, Emily and Whiff passed more engines. When they saw Whiff, they all laughed too. Emily was tired of being teased. I must get away from Whiff, she huffed. Emily pumped her pistons. Wait for me, whistled Whiff. But Emily wasn't going to wait for Whiff, and soon Whiff was a long way behind. Emily was glad Whiff had gone. It's not my fault he can't keep up, she huffed. Later, Emily had to wait for Elizabeth at a crossing. Where's this new engine? Honked Elizabeth grandly. He got lost, wished Emily. No, I didn't, whistled Whiff cheerfully. Hello! Oh, sniffed Elizabeth. Aren't you going to introduce me to your new friend? But Emily didn't want anything more to do with Whiff. She chucked away as fast as her pistons would pump. Wait for me, whistled Whiff cheerfully. Up ahead, Emily saw a branch line. Maybe if I puff down here, Whiff won't see me. And Whiff didn't see Emily. He puffed past on the main line. Emily chuffed all around Sir Topham Hatt's railway. She tried to hide from Whiff, but still, everywhere Emily went, Whiff always found her. In every tunnel and in every siding. At last, Emily escaped from Whiff. Thank goodness, she wished. Now no one will laugh at me for working with such a smelly engine. Up ahead, Emily saw Spencer. He was very cross. I meant to be taking the Duke and Duchess of Buxford to an important lunch, huffed Spencer. But my way is blocked by all these smelly garbage wagons. Flatten my funnel, steamed Emily. They were the garbage wagons that Emily and Whiff should have cleared earlier. Someone will have to move them, sniffed Spencer. Emily knew that was her job. Oh, I suppose I'll have to move them. Ugh, she shuddered. Emily buffered up. She pulled as hard as she could, but the wagons were much too heavy for her to move on her own. Just then, Gordon chuffed past. Can you help me move these garbage wagons? Tooted Emily. Me? Snorted Gordon. Oh, certainly not. Can you help me move these garbage wagons, James? Peeped Emily. Oh, no, thank you, wheezed James. Emily was upset. I'm still waiting, puffed Spencer impatiently. If Whip was here now, he'd be happy to help me, Emily sighed. He wanted to be my friend, but I wasn't kind to him. I must find Whip and say sorry. Emily looked high and low for Whip, but he was nowhere to be seen. Then, at last, she heard Whiff's funny whistle. Hello, Emily, whistled Whiff cheerfully. I was wondering where you'd got to. I'm sorry, I ran away from you, puffed Emily. That's all right, whistled Whiff. I'm just glad you found me. Let's go to work. Spencer was getting very impatient. Don't worry, Spencer, tooted Emily. Whip is here to help now. Freeze my firebox, snorted Spencer when he saw Whip. That dirty little engine can't move all these garbage wagons. We're going to move them together, chuffed Emily. Oh, thank you, Emily, whistled Whiff. Spencer watched as Emily and Whiff coupled up to the garbage wagons and quickly shunted them away. Spencer was very impressed. Whiff is a very, very useful engine, he wished. I know, bubbled Emily happily, and he's my new good friend, too.